The future is here.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future. Welcome to the future.
We're marching ahead, blazing new trails. This is the future. We're setting sail. We're building a path to things we never done. Tomorrow is here, it's rising with the sun. An evolution, revolutions come. It's only started, only just begun. This is the moment we've been waiting for. So open up the door.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
Welcome to the. Welcome to the. Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
Welcome to the. Welcome to the.
You are.
Welcome to
A new dawn, a new day, a new plan. Yeah.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to the. Welcome to the future. Future.
Better than ever, wanna be great. This is the moment that history's made. Nothing can stop us, ain't seen nothing yet. The lights are on and now the stage is set. Imagination, innovation's here. The pictures never ever look so clear. This is the day a new dawn is near. The future's here.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to the.
Yeah.
Welcome to the. Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
Welcome to the. Welcome to the.
You are.
Welcome to
A new dawn, a new day, a new world. Yeah.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to the. Welcome to the future. Future.
The future is here.
Tomorrow is here, it's rising with the sun. An evolution, revolutions come. It's only started.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
Welcome to the. Welcome to the. Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
Welcome to the. Welcome to the.
You are.
Welcome to
A new dawn, a new day, a new world. Yeah.
Welcome to the future. Welcome to the. Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
The future. Welcome to the future.
All right, yes, sir. Good morning, GM, GX, GE, wherever you guys are, and we're back, fresh from the Web3 PH Festival. Yeah, we have the whole team, full stack squad, and our friends from SuperGaming here tonight. Sarah and Toby, we missed you, man. How you doing?
Very good, very good. Very good. Sad that I wasn't able to hit up what sounds to have been like an amazing event in the Philippines. Definitely want to make sure that I'm there for the next one, 100%. And thanks, guys, for joining us today. SuperGaming, a really highly anticipated project, which we're really excited to speak to.
Thank you. Glad to be here. And let me say, that was such an amazing video. Like,
Awesome video,
at
yeah.
3 minutes, I was absolutely hooked.
Yeah, hook.
Yeah. Definitely gonna send that to my team. Like, here's the kind of videos.
Here's a new bar. Yeah, here's a new bar. Make videos like this.
Yeah, I mean, we also have our friends from, actually, this is a YGGPH initiative. And so these are streamers from the Philippines, but also we have our sub DAOs, basically creating, really amazing content like this. All the GG also released, a video like this very recently. But yeah, it's really good to see, how active and, how willing to participate like these content creators and sub DAOs are and committed regardless of market conditions. But yeah, speaking of the games that we want to play, we have the guys from SuperGaming. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Sanket and I'm one of the co-founders of SuperGaming. We've been building games for quite a number of years, and we just launched just 2 hours before we got on over here. We just launched our first Web3 game as well, and yeah, we're super excited to be here to talk more about that.
Yep. And hey folks, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Venkat. I'm VP-Product of SuperGaming. Like Sanket said, like literally 2 hours ago, we just launched the first Web3 game. So yeah, super excited to be here. Thank you very much, folks, for having us.
Awesome. We've had the pleasure of being able to have a good look at Tower Conquest Metaverse Edition. But for those in the audience that haven't yet had a chance to hear about it, we'd love to get your elevator pitch for the project.
Sure. So Tower Conquest Metaverse Edition, we just call it TC.me for short. So it's a real-time PvP tower defense game. It's free to start. We call it free to earn. So you can play the game for free, generate tokens, and earn cash as you play. It's a very PvP and leaderboard focused kind of game. In fact, we've got a short video we'd love to play this time, so the rest of the AMA will sound a lot better. Right? Awesome.
Tower Conquest Metaverse, back online. Out now.
All right. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, like the video just said, mainnet's out now. It's available on Android and iOS. The web version's coming in literally a couple of days. But yeah, you can just go right to the store, download it, play it for free.
Nice. I mean, like ease of access, definitely, helps, get the games out, to everyone all over the world, iOS and, Android, like you said, even web. So, I mean, pretty cool stuff there. And yeah, we can expect, a lot of our friends to actually try out the game now that you've actually launched on mainnet, you guys said, right? And yeah, I mean, so I'm pretty curious, like I'd want to backtrack a bit. And so the concept is good, the game is there, it's working, it's running. And what do you guys think, makes this game, special compared to other games, maybe in the similar genre or, doing the same thing?
Mm-hmm. All right. So Tower Conquest Me actually has a very rich free-to-play heritage. It is built off of one of our existing Web2 games. And we've been running that game for 6 years. So when we started looking at Web3 and saying, hey, let's explore this space, let's make a game that's actually truly, towards Web3 and its ethos, this game was like right there. That's because, people have been playing and enjoying this game for so long, because it's got great gameplay. It's super easy to pick up. Literally most people can understand and start playing the game with no help in 2 minutes or less. And there's absolutely no barriers to entry, right? So there's no NFTs to buy. There's literally a quick sign up and you start playing the game. Right? So there's that. In terms of gameplay, while it's accessible, the initial portions of the game are very easy to understand. There's serious strategy involved. So when you start playing in PvP modes and you start ranking, that's when all bets are off, right? So even on our live game that we have on Web2, we still see people coming up with brand new strategies, new comps, new metas, literally every week. And it's unbelievable how many new things get discovered every day.
Gotcha. And, so you guys in SuperGaming, you're working on numerous games, numerous projects. Like I bet you have like a lot other a lot other projects or games that are under the hood that you're working on at the moment. But what actually made like this game, the game of choice? Like, why do you want to pursue this specific game in particular?
So this one is one of our most successful free-to-play games, and like I said, we believe games are for everybody, right? This is one of the most accessible, also one of our most successful. That's on one front. But the second is some of our other games. They're more complex and they take longer to build out. So this is something that we wanted to really get in and get that first-hand experience and show people that there are actual developers here who want to make games that are free to play, free to earn in Web3. And that's really where we start, right? Our ethos is players first. So all of our games, we've got several million downloads across our Web2 space. So last time, I think it was somewhere just across our titles, we've got somewhere between 250, 300 million users. We said, hey, we know how to make good games. Let's also start making games here so that people can enjoy them.
That sounds really interesting. I mean, one of the things I'd like to just zoom in for a second on is this idea of free to earn. Now, it's quite a brave concept from what I've seen, because obviously, if one could imagine this idea of like this ability to just earn for free, what's the kind of function to kind of sustain the economy in this regard?
All right. So so I'll answer this in two parts, right? So why free? Just to begin that, right? So number one, we've done that for a decade in free to play. We believe that people should only pay, they should only open their wallets if they truly like what they're getting, right? If people aren't satisfied with the product, they don't like the game, they're not having fun, there's no reason for them to put money down on it, right? That's number one. That's why free has to start somewhere. Now, why free to earn? So the way this game is set up, it's a PvP first game. So in PvP, in endgame PvP especially, you're going to constantly need a bunch of resources to keep staying on the ladder, keep ranking up. And that's what free players provide, right? That's on one front. The second, because it's free to start, there's absolutely no reason for you to really spend money until you're ready to compete, right? Which is not something you typically see. You're putting money down, or you're borrowing from someone, or you've got to get sponsored by somebody. As a normal player, as a regular player, just trying to understand the mechanics of the game. So we take all of that out. Now, as for how this sustains, is very simply put, we see that there's enough players competing in PvP that the rest of the economy self-sustains and grows.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, good point there. So sorry, Sarah, to what you were saying.
No, go ahead, Sedano.
I was just gonna ask. So, we've seen a lot of games, shifting towards, competitive gameplay. Like, we like they're basically allotting more resources, or basically shifting the game economy towards players who spend more time and effort and actually have the skill. And talking about skill, so where does this the esports factor or the competitive factor come in here? Like how where is the basis of me getting on the leaderboards coming from?
All right, great. I'm happy you asked that. I was hoping to plug that in somewhere, but so again, at SuperGaming, so some history at SuperGaming, what we're really, really good at is making real-time PvP games. So all of our games are competitive. We've got shooters, we've got social deduction games, we're making a huge battle royale, which we've been developing for a while. So that's our ethos. So we don't just necessarily make a kind of game. What's common is they're all PvP. So what we're going to offer here in TC.me is, at least at the beginning, is a leaderboard-based tournament. So very simply put, you just play the PvP mode, right, and keep ranking up, keep going up the ladder, and there's prizes to be won. And this is just the very beginning. So this is our launch tournament coming really soon. Down the line, everything's esports, right? There is skill. We love seeing players, again, like I said, on the Web2 front, people still come up with new strats. And that's what we love seeing. Now we want to put that out in the world. Now imagine being able to pick up a game, make new strats, talk to other people in your community, try new comps out, Heck, we've even got a practice mode. So what you can do in the practice mode is actually come up with your real comps, try them out with your friends, with your guildmates. Hey, I'm going to try this. This is my deploy. How are you countering it? Right? So you've got your openings, you've got your mid games, you've got your late games, really performing, really, fine-tuning your strategy. We've got all of that right now. Down the line, we're building a streamer mode, we're building a spectate mode, we're building lots of tournaments. We've got our top Legends League finales. Yeah, there's a bunch of things coming in the pipeline, and everything's about PvP.
That sounds pretty awesome. It's great to see more competitive games entering the scene, especially those with an easy to onboard, mobile-centric focus. So great to see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, to add to that, so actually, like Mike, our head of esports, like when we get into conversations with their projects that have esports implementations or competitive features implemented in the game, we're always looking for spectator modes or any tools or features that we can use to basically create large scale tournaments. So without getting into detail with that, but on the team, how does it work? Like with the dynamic, like are you guys do you guys where's your headquarters? Like do you guys work remote? How many guys are maybe on the esports department? Like what does it look like under the hood of SuperGaming and TC.me?
All right, so the TC.me team is 20 people. So yes, we're a decently large team, at least on the Web3 side. SuperGaming is a studio, we are 150. We've got a small esports management division. So what we typically do is we don't necessarily host tournaments. We work with communities like YGG, for example, right? We'll be working with folks like you because you understand the communities best. We've always run our games like that. What we offer in return is really the nuances of what the game is like. So that means things like prices, we help out in ops, we coach teams, we give feedback to players, or they can be doing, can't be doing. We help in spreading the word. But we love working with communities because that's where the players are, right? And we simply are not large enough or know each community well enough, right? Communities in India, for example, are very different from communities in PH or Brazil. And we just simply can't understand every single one. That's why we always work with partners who not just bring in all of this know-how, but there's also this large community who are now actually seeing this game, getting to experience it firsthand or through a stream or through a video, what have you.
Gotcha. So let's say we're looking at the game right now. We're about to hit the year 2023. Let's say once you've basically debuted the whole project and players have onboarded. So what features are you looking at or building towards that you think will make TC.me different from the rest of the pack?
Right. So at launch, we've got a handful of units. So there's going to be content patches coming out through the next several months and years. So that's number one. So that's going to be new units to try out, new comps, things like that. We're going to be constantly running tournaments. There's going to be new modes we're going to be introducing. We're estimating that anywhere between once every 3 to 6 months. So there's new things to do, new metas to follow. In terms of economy, we'll be building it as we go. So we have a model of our economy planned out, but each new asset that comes out, we give it enough time. So it's not just go put it out there and hope somebody picks it up. There's liquidity being built at every stage. In terms of what, esports, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be streamer mode, spectate mode, the ability, and this is some alpha, I shouldn't be saying it, but I'm still going to say it. Clans versus clans, guilds versus guilds, that's something we're heavily hoping to support. So that's down in the roadmap in the next couple of quarters. So we see this not just as player versus player, but player versus player at several levels. So being able to pit a guild versus another, a community against another, signups. You've got your best 5 versus another 5. So it's really intense on that front. There's going to be obviously a whole bunch of other minor features, but these are probably the top few I can think of.
That's really fantastic that you touched on the idea of guild v guild or clan versus clan, because, obviously I think that's a really core mechanic to incentivize why should players be participating as part of a blockchain gaming guild, especially in a game that is potentially free to earn. So what's interesting, another kind of follow-up question to this is YGG is a blockchain gaming guild. Normally what we do is we acquire assets potentially in games and lend these assets to players, and they use them, and we and they enjoy playing with them or whatever. And in this scenario, what's the kind of incentive to kind of have the NFTs? Because if it is free to own, is it a case that owning the NFTs then increases your ability to potentially get more out of the game, or could you elaborate on that piece?
Sure, absolutely. So the NFTs are something, they're hero cards, right? So these are the more powerful units, and they've got a very clear use case. End game PvP, you're going to be using them. Mid game PvP, there's a high likelihood of you using them. Doesn't mean you need them to get started, right? So that's also why we say it's free to start. You don't absolutely need them. Where we see other inroads happening, you've got skill players, right? But they don't necessarily need to be dropping money on them. Communities like yourselves, heck, we're going to be supporting a renting model where communities own the NFTs, you lease them out, you split the earnings whichever way you decide, right? That includes being able to support the price pool. That includes, resource sharing, price sharing, name it, right? So that's how we're incentivizing on the PvP front. What about the free front? What about the rest of your community, right? So there's always going to be a handful of people who are going to be really, really good at PvP. But this is supposed to be a fun game. It's not supposed to be just stressful for everybody who can't compete at top levels. So what do? Right? So they have all of these other game modes that they can play. Very similar kind of experience. They can play it directly against friends. We are introducing sometime in the future a mode where you can challenge your guildmates, your friends, things like that. So a PvP game is just one element. Games don't work without a social element. And that's the next layer we're really bringing out. Being able to hang out with friends, play with them, against them, your guild, make new friends. So these are the next few pieces that you'll see on our roadmap, which when we put that out, it's going to be chock full of stuff, which I don't think a lot of teams are doing.
Fantastic. So in theory, with these hero cards, is this going to be from an early stage the ability to acquire them and then lend them to another player?
Yep. So right now we're doing signups. We're working with guilds. I'm hoping including yourselves, where we're airdropping some of these to your community, right? So you get started right away with the NFTs. The renting model, like I said, that's coming soon. But right now you can just start using the NFTs for free. We're also going to be allowing users to mint their own NFTs if they wanted to by just simply burning some of the resources they earn by playing. So people with enough gameplay, that's what we call proof of play. So you can either go out, get an NFT yourself by minting it directly, or by earning it through gameplay, or by renting it.
Awesome. Exciting stuff. Sounds like you guys have definitely got it sorted in regards to how guilds can participate in this game. One thing that I'd obviously love to see is the idea that lore could get generated through the evolution of guilds within this game, and potentially seasonal tournaments could actually kind of start building out a lore around that world. Is that something you ever thought about at all?
Yep, absolutely. So there's a reason while we do have a lore and backstories for the game, we're actually planning on just working with the community to do that. We did bits and pieces of that in our Discord during the early days of the beta. We saw some really great stuff being done. So we said, all right, I think we're just going to go down this path. We're still working out details, but it's something we're definitely considering.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good, I'm glad that Saratobi brought it up. Because I think, the key component here of, building out, a really, really successful game is having the community highly involved. And, being able to see your characters, or maybe even, the NFTs that you own, maybe represent some of the guilds, even have maybe bosses that, are common, or like share the same boss that shares the same lore with certain guilds, have them appear there, or a boss that's themed to, I don't know, maybe another like a famous like creator or whatnot in Web3. So there's just basically like there's unlimited possibilities where you can connect not only the communities together, but have them grow their affinity within the game, and also have them connect in the game as well. So we're not only talking about different Discord servers doing their own thing, engaging with tc.me, but everyone else is engaging on the game itself. So it's really it's really good to see these types of engagements, especially now in the bear market, because it really comes to show which players are very are very well interested in the project, and it also gives good feedback not only for guilds but also for the games. If the games are actually fun, despite what concepts or what side stories we build around it. But yeah, really great stuff there. But so before we get onto the chunk, or maybe an announcement from you guys, perhaps, so we'd just like to remind everyone that we have the YGG Discord open, so we are in the AMA discussion text channel as well. So if you have any questions for our guests for tonight, make sure to drop it in there, and we will be asking those shortly. But yeah, I mean, if how about you, Saratobi? Do you have any other questions for our guests?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose I could talk to you guys for ages. Really excited about this game. Of course, one question that I'd have is about the hero card slightly, because obviously it is free to earn. With a game that is so competitive, how have you kind of been able to balance wanting to attract more spending and kind of fight the kind of pay to win components of the game? Because obviously, if I'm a really skilled player and I go up against someone that just has more money and then owns more hero cards, I'm just interested to know how you guys have approached that kind of balancing act.
All right, so a couple of things. One, even if you go and just spend some money and buy NFTs, they come at baseline power. All right, so as you play the game, your NFTs gain more power. So that's what we mean when we say proof of play. You actually got to invest time in your NFTs in playing the game. That's number one. Number two, even if you do go and spend money in the game, you're not going to get good. Very simply, the strats that we've seen experienced people pull off versus brand new people who spent money in the game, more often than not, it's going to be the experienced person winning. Third, we've built games, again, multiplayer games in the past, so we've got a very clean and robust MMR system. So most of the times you're going to be matched with people of your skill level, not your wallet.
That makes sense.
That's really good to hear. Not only because it's basically I wouldn't say a free for all, but there's equal opportunities for all the players to get started and earn from the game, and also prove themselves in the leaderboard. So that's definitely a huge factor here that we want to look at. But yeah, for everyone else in the community, so definitely check out tc.me. And definitely also the other games from SuperGaming. These guys are definitely going to be giving us a lot of surprises down the road. And tc.me is just one of the main features that, or one of the main games that we can expect popping off in the next month as we go by. But yeah, so we have Sil, our lead media associate. Sil, are you there? So he has a few questions from the community that he would want to ask us. Sil, are you there? Okay, let's. While we're waiting for Sil, I'll go ahead and pop a question that we got from the community beforehand. So, it's a bit of a like a question for the guys over at SuperGaming. So, what was actually that turning point that that made you guys decide that we're getting into Web3?
That's a really great. That's a great question. So we've seen. So myself, I've been building games for 14 years now. So I've seen premium, then we saw free to play, and now we're seeing Web3. Simply put, it's a great transition, right? So we went from paying for games upfront. You don't know how good the game is. You just have faith in the developer, and you put down $60. You go buy a game. Hopefully, you enjoy it, right? Then we went into the free-to-play era, where it became, all right, there's this small game you can play, and you could possibly spend some money if you really liked it. And then that evolved, right? Where free-to-play games got really high production values, very deep gameplay, and as devices got better, heck, my phone today is probably 50 times more powerful than the computer I had like 2 decades ago, right? So games became more mobile friendly, and it's much more accessible. So we went from paying for games to then choosing to pay for games. Now what we're saying is, hey, games start free, and you should be able to also make something of it for your time. And the people who really like the game, they can continue to spend. But it's not just the developers who are making money now, right? In the free-to-play space, it's always, as a developer, you're essentially just, you have unlimited inventory, right? Some pixels I can keep producing and selling. But here, it's players who are playing the game for free, producing, money and value for their time. And that's being funded by the people who are playing endgame. So this ethos, this shift is what we're seeing. And, it makes a lot of sense to keep up with the times. That's how we've survived for so long. And we'll continue to do that.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons that we got into Web3 was the transition, or what we think is a large paradigm shift. So while I know, there is a lot of questions that people are still trying to figure out, not everything is answered with respect to Web3 gaming, right? These are very early days. In fact, most questions are not answered right now. While we could have waited for all of those questions to get answered, everything to get figured out, that would have been probably too late. And so, which is why we said hey, here's a great paradigm shift. Some of the ethos over here aligns really well with what we do. One, in terms of players having ownership of their assets, players being able to make money and really have a larger ownership of the game. So those were ethos that aligned really well with what we do. So we're all right, what, even if we don't have all the answers for what Web3 gaming should be, hey, we're not going to sit on the sidelines and just wait for everything to get figured out. So yeah, here we are building. Just having released our Web3 game first, Web3 game 2 hours ago.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's good that you mentioned this, Ankit, that it's actually looking at it as a paradigm shift in gaming. So I think a common misconception for people looking into NFT games and blockchain games in general, they fail to realize that the play to earn concept, this is a construct that was birthed from circumstances during that time. And I don't think that it's fair that we look at every other blockchain game with the same eyes that we saw play to earn. But then how we see it is that different games, let's say, for example, like TC.me, the play to earn model is shifting. As you mentioned, you are a free to earn model now, right? And there will always be projects that we'll never have the perfect economic model just yet or as easily. So in terms of free to play, what weaknesses do you see in this, and how do you plan to approach it?
Right, I'll take that one if that's fine. Is this okay? I'm sorry. Hey, so yeah, we don't have it. We don't have it down pat. I don't think anybody does, right? So this is it is an attempt, but it's an attempt made in very good faith. So how are we protecting the economy? So typically, if you look at most games that have existed or been made to date, the fundamentals of economics have always been this: old player comes in, they play the game, they earn some tokens, and they're waiting for the cash out on the backs of new players, right? So unless there's this constant influx of new people coming in and buying the tokens that people have already made or generated or earned or yielded, whatever, there's no cash out, right? And that's what causes collapses. So while making this game, we analyzed a bunch of games, and we saw this as a very, very common theme. Where we're different is this: old players need new players to come in, not to cash out, but to stay competitive, right? So in PvP, you're constantly going to be minting and burning units, and the units require the free to earn token. That's why players can come in and play for free. So when they come in, they play the game for free. They earn tokens. Well, guess who needs them? It's the older people. It's the people who are ranking on those leaderboards. And that's how we sustain, right? It's the old players needing new and not the reverse. So we simply took an equation and flipped it around. And that just works beautifully. So that's on one front. As for economic model in and of itself, it's built in layers. So it's not a typical two-token model where you've got a utility and a governance token. We've got a multi-layered economy, and we'll be releasing that in stages. So right now we've got what we call the phase 1 economy in place. It's got a couple of layers on it, but we're going to be building more and more as we go along. So once the economy stabilizes at this point, then we introduce new assets on top, stabilize those, and so on.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just going to jump in super quickly on the technical side there. Great to hear about the the economy piece, but going to just quickly jump into the economy. Can you tell us a little bit about the decision of like what blockchain you guys have decided to deploy onto and some of the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, so sure. We're in Polygon. So a couple of reasons. Gas fees are non-existent. So, doesn't matter, who's paying for it. It's going to be really, really cheap, right? So that's number one. Super fast, that's another. It's absolutely horrendous UX to ask a person to wait for 30 seconds or a minute or plus just because something's been committed to chain. Third, we've worked very closely with the Polygon team. We've known them for a while. So we've been working very closely with them. So, so everything just works out of the box.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, we're obviously huge fans of Polygon here. Great to see how much traction they've got with regards to gaming. They definitely seem to be one of the leaders in that space, and we're happy to be working with them for many of the games that we're involved with. So excited to see how the future plays out for blockchain gaming and Polygon, and it probably seems like a very good choice that you guys have made in that regard.
Yeah, totally agree there. So we've had a few questions from YouTube, from Twitch, from Facebook, but yeah, I mean a few of them were geared towards some updates, and there have been some issues where previous versions didn't work, or like the earlier patches didn't work the same way that the previous versions did. So like what I would say is that like we're flashing the socials of TC.me and SuperGaming on screen, and we definitely would like to encourage the community to ask the questions for tech specific questions directly on these channels. So on Discord, like I'm pretty sure like the community is active there who would have maybe experienced the same issues, and like we are in the very early stages of the game, so this is bound to happen. And these are very valuable types of feedback that we'd want to find out, like how did it happen, what devices are you working on, and how can we improve it, what bits of it are laggy, which bits of it are buttery smooth. And yeah, so this is very helpful, not only for the community but for the game developers as well. So yeah, go for it. You have the socials right there on screen, and yeah, we're excited to check those out. But yeah, so before we wrap up the turn the AMA, I kind of slipped there. Here's the exciting part. So our friends from SuperGaming have a pretty huge announcement regarding esports and the tournament. So yeah, take the stage, guys.
Sanket, all you. I think you should say this.
Right. So we are. I mean, so while we launched on mainnet, like it's not like hey, the game is out, go ahead, play it. We're also gonna run a large tournament with a 10K prize pool, $10,000 prize pool. That's gonna start really, really soon, and that's gonna be based on the leaderboard. So essentially, come in, play PvP, get crowns, and whoever's on the top of the leaderboard. I mean, enough people on top of the leaderboard will be getting prizes from us. So that's something that's coming really, really soon. And Venkat, do you want to talk about how should people sign up for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just all you have to do is go to the website tcme.io, sign up for an account, download the game, and start playing. That's literally it. Play PvP as much as you can. Get those ranks. Get on top of those leaderboards. Because this is 10,000 USDC, right? So it's not 10,000 in assets. It's not 10,000 in our token. It's 10,000 actual hard cash.
Awesome. And I heard that some partners or some guilds will also be given access to some assets that will help them participate in the leaderboards. Let's say I'm a community member of YGG. How do I sign up? Where do I find out more info about the tournament? How do I prepare? How do I get started?
All right. So what we've asked all of our guild partners to do, including you folks, is just create one account, and you'll get a referral link. So all of you here listening, everybody in the larger YGG community, sign up for the game using the referral link, right? When you sign up using that, we're going to be airdropping a bunch of these assets, the cards, the NFTs, and everything else that you need to get a head start for the tournament straight to your guild. At that point, you've got everything you need to start playing right away, right? So you don't have to wait for somebody to come in, mint new cards for you, hope to gather that momentum, because, well, the tournament's very, very soon. We'll announce a date on it, but it's super soon. So yeah, I strongly encourage you folks, get started right now. Get that link, ask Serrano where the link is. So use the referral link, sign up, and we'll be dropping assets starting in the next 12 hours or so.
Nice. So yeah, you guys heard it first. So definitely we are going to be making a few announcements regarding the upcoming tournament from our friends from TC.me, and yeah, definitely watch out for those. But yeah, it's always a pleasure, getting to chat with you guys. We've been lucky enough to be able to hang out in person. But yeah, I turn over the stage to Sarah Chobi. If you have any stuff that you want to talk about with the guys.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm super excited for this one. I mean, obviously, this is a YGG AMA. We always like to try and get some leaks. Can you tell us about any more of the exciting games that are coming from SuperGaming? Because obviously, that's what we're all really super. Obviously, as excited as we are for the tower defense game, we're always hungry for more. So, what else can you tell us about that's in the kind of pipeline for SuperGaming?
I was able to catch only some part of it, but I'm guessing you're asking about what are other games that we're building right now. Right. Okay. So I'll take that. So I mean, we've been building a bunch of what you might call Web 2 games. So we have a lot of pipeline on the Web 2 side of it. So I'll talk about that, and then maybe Venkat can talk about the Web 3 side of it. So we have something called Indus, which is an Indo-futuristic battle royale that we have been building for over 2 years. And essentially what we've done with that game is, taken Indian culture, Indian mythology, and, built that into a game. So, I mean, we're a large country, but we don't really have that kind of representation in a game. And we decided that, hey, we want to change that. I mean, there are games with Chinese mythology. There are games with Viking mythology. Why aren't there games with Indian mythology? So that's what we wanted to change, and we decided to build that in a battle royale. So yeah, Indus is a game we've been building for about 2 years, and it's gonna it's so yeah, that's one of the games that we're building. Did I catch the question right? Was it about the new games that we're building?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm not sure if I came across. Did everyone else hear me okay there?
Right. So that's one of the games that we're building, and then the other game that we're building is this thing called Battle Stars. So that's a 2D shooter. So we built this game called Silly Royale, which is a social deduction game, and that was really popular. And now what we're doing is, we're taking that world and we're building it into a 2D shooter called Battle Stars, which is also going to come out in a couple of weeks. So these are the two big games that are coming out from us. And on the Web3 side, Venkat can talk about what next.
All right. So on the Web3 front, TC.me is the first. We've got another pipeline of games coming, including a 4X game, potentially another shooter. Now let's start imagining. I'm going to leave it at that. Not too much alpha right now. These are things we've planned. We're going to first obviously focus on TC.me, make that successful, stabilize that. We're here for the long game, guys. So we spend years crafting our games. So it'll come. But yeah, we'll see more and more announcements. Just hop onto our Discord or our TG. We love working with the community. We love telling people what we're trying to build.
Fantastic. And obviously, everyone in the community who's listening today, make sure to keep up to date with what's going on. Make sure to follow them on Twitter, join their Discord, Telegram, just like Venkat's just mentioned. Are there any other ways that the community should keep up to date with what's going on with you guys at Tower Conquest?
Yeah, so I think all of our socials. I mean, we're pretty active on Twitter, Telegram, Discord. I think those are the places to catch hold of any of us on the team, including Venkat, me, or the rest of the devs as well. So yeah, and we're pretty active over there. So yeah, come say hi. We hang out over there and would love to talk to you, get your feedback, and use that to evolve the game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So don't forget, we have members of the YGG community to help anyone with questions in the Discord. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I'm sure we should definitely get you guys on again when we have some play testing. Maybe we can get some game footage. Maybe we can even have some live battles or something like that. That'd be a really amazing thing to see.
Yeah.
I, for one, am excited to play this game. Get out there and give it a shot. And we'll hopefully see you soon, guys.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks.
This was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Have a great day,
Awesome.
folks.
Thanks
Yeah.
so much.